All right, guys, welcome to this video. We are going to look at today file handling in C, how you can handle files in the C programming language. Before we even dive right to start working, we have to understand some concepts. All right, so I prepared a document for us to look at on this concept. So file handling in C. So we want to know what file handling is and how you can go about it in your project. So what is file handling in the first place? File handling refers to the process of working with files in C programming language, and it involves you want to perform various operations such as you want to create a file, you want to open, you want to read content from a file, then you want to write into a file, and after all said and done, you want to close that file. So this is the basic features of how you handle files in C, and these are declared in the standard input output.h header file. There are others, but basically this is what it is, and there are steps to processing in file. So these are a few of them. These are the steps that I've aligned below. First, you have to declare a file pointer variable, and after that you have to open a file using the fopen function. Then you process the file using appropriate function for processing. I'm talking about this. After you open the file using fopen, then you have to go about processing the file using appropriate function. There are a lot of them. We'll look at them shortly. Then when you are done, then you have to go ahead and close the file using the fclose function. So these are the basic steps you want to look at where you want to handle files in C. So the general syntax to open a file, you have the file, then you have this pointer variable here that is declared. Then after that, you use the fopen function and the file name as well as the mode. When we are talking about mode here, we are talking about you can have the create mode, the truncate, append, read only, write only, and the rest of them. So that is basically the general syntax to opening a file. So after that, we can go ahead to talk about the standard streams. Shut this down. All right, so we are looking at standard streams. So what is standard stream as applies to what we are looking at today? Standard streams is a process, refers to a default input and output channel associated with running a program. So the input and output, the input and output channel that is associated with running a program. So they are standard input, which is denoted by the std in, standard input. Then you have talk about the standard output, which is denoted by std out, standard output. Then we lastly want to look at standard error, which is have a form of resemblance to this but have its own unique difference. So what is standard input? Is the stream provides a way for program to receive input, more like the system asking you to type something. If you are working on your computer and the computer want to accept input, that is what we call standard input. By then the cursor is going to be blinking, asking you to type something. That is basically what we mean by standard input. And receive input from the user or from another program. Keyboard is basically used the means for inputting commands into the system. So more like you have a prompt that is blinking, just like you have here now. If you look closely, you see this cursor. That is an example of standard input that's blinking here. And see, that is an example of standard input from user. So input functions, like you have some functions that are used like scanf and fget, read data from the standard input, which is std in. You have scanf and fget. Then you have, we'll talk about the standard output, which is denoted by std out, and it's typically associated with the console or terminal, or like what is printed out for others to see, right? And output functions like the printf function, the put function, and you can have others such as putc, putchar function, write data to standard output. Output is displayed on the screen. So once you write to standard, it's going to be shown on the computer screen. So that is standard output. So I talked about standard error, which I said is kind of had some form of bearing with standard output. So what is that? It outputs error messages on the console using functions like fprintf and or p error function. So it outputs error. So unlike standard output, standard error is typically unbuffered. What does that mean? It means that output is immediately displayed instead of being stored in a buffer. So standard error display output immediately as the output, the error message is you come across that error message. It's going to display it immediately on the screen without being buffered. So it's not going to be transferred. It's not going to be stored somewhere waiting for it to be kind of output out. It's just going to, print out immediately. So basically that is the difference between standard output and standard error. So I have one more document here. I'll have to open that. Okay. So yeah, so we have to look at these two, which basically there are functions which we want to use when we are talking about this. So one of them is fopen function, which is used to open a file. Then you have the getC to read a character from a file. Then you have the putc, which writes a character into a file. You have getW, read integer from a file. You have putW, we write an integer into a file. You have fclose to close a file basically, and fprintf, print formatted outputs into a file. Then fscanf, read formatted input from a file. That means input are read from a file. More like a prompt is expected. You have to input something into the file. We have fpref, write a string from a file. Fget, which read a string basically from a file. Then you have feof, which detect end of file marker. All right. This detect end of file marker. So basically these are some functions, though there are others. These are some basic functions we have to look at when we are looking at file input output. So basically this is it, and let's jump right to look at the code. Handling in C, what we want to do is that we want to read basic operations is you want to read from a file, then you want to write into a file, and you want to append text to an existing file. So we are going to be showing practically how you go about all of this, reading from a file, writing into a file, and appending text to an existing file. So first we'll look at how you read from a file. So that's the first thing we are going to look at in our code. So let me just remove this. So we are going to read from a file. All right, so first and foremost, this is the header file. So I'll go ahead and write the code to do that. First, I'm going to do int main. This is the program entry point. All right, so I'm going to the curly braces. I'll declare a constant character variable with the name file name. Then I'll going to equate that to the file which I want to read from, and that will be file io.txt because it's a text file. So it's a text file. So then I'm going to declare this data type called file. Is an integer data type called file. Then when I declare that, I'll give it a variable name handle file. Okay, so it take a pointer as a variable, all right, with the name handle file. So after I do this variable declaration, then I'm going to go ahead and open the file. So to do that, I'm going to use the variable which I declared, which is open file, and I'll go ahead and use the fopen function. So using the fopen function, I'm going to open the file name, which I declared as a constant character variable. Then I'm going to state the mode in which I'm operating, which is the read mode. All right, that is arrow. Then I'll go ahead and use this if statement, and I'll do handle file, which is the file variable declaration, and if it is exactly equals to none, then I'm going to print a statement. I'm going to print using the printf function. I'm going to tell you the difference between the printf function and the fprintf function. So if that is exactly none, I'm going to display the statement reading of file unsuccessful. Then I'm going to use the format. Since I'm printing a formatted output, I'm going to use the string format specifier. Then I'm going to do that in a new line, and then I'll go ahead and then I'll go ahead and put file name. Okay, so I'll end that statement. Then I'll return if it is not successful, I'm going to return 1, which shows that I put in that file, trying to read from that file was all successful. So if not, then I'll go ahead and print another statement using the print function. Go ahead and print this statement using print and print file. Then with the formatted, since I'm printing formatted output with the format specifier, which is a string, then I'm going to print opened in a new line. Okay, in a new line. I'll do that in a new line. Then I'm going to enter the file name. All right. So then after doing all of this, after printing all of this, I'll go ahead and close the file. Let me remove this. I don't need that. I'll go ahead and close the file using the fclose function. So then the file name, which is handle_file, I'll end the statement and I'll return 0 at the end. So basically this is it, guys. So this particular program is we opened a file, but what is it going to do? Sorry, I'm supposed to have printf here. It's not going to open the content of the file. It's just going to display a statement, which is the printf function in line 14 is going to display a statement, which is this. All right, file opened. That's the statement that is going to be displayed. Sorry, this is supposed to be here. Then now close this here. Okay, so that's it. So let's see, we are going to build, save this file, build and run. So let's see. Go ahead and save. Then I'll build and run. All right, so you see, this is going to be printed to the console used by the printf function, and it says file file-io.txt opened. But it didn't actually open the file. It didn't actually open the content of the file. It tried opening the file and printed this to the console. So using that. So what happens if we want to truly print the content of the file? We want to read the content of the file. How do we go about that? To do that, what I'm going to do here is that I'll just go ahead and make some changes to the code I already have, just a few changes, and I'll go ahead and change this this file. I'll change that to text file as variable text file. Then I'll go ahead and declare an integer variable with the name Carl_handle, which I used the other time. I'll declare that Carl_handle. Then I'll go ahead and open the file. So what file am I opening now? I'm opening not this, I'm opening the test file, which I declared earlier, test file. That's just a little code completion there. CodeBlocks does that. Then I'll equate that to the file name, and in the reading mode, then the next thing, okay, here, if test file is equal to, if test file, this test file, which I used just now, text file is exactly none, then I'm going to print reading of file of this same statement, reading of file unsuccessful. Then after then I'll come here, I'll remove this statement, and I just want to truly read from the file. So how do I go about that? Here I'm going to use a while loop, say y1, and enter the loop, and I'll say cal_handle if I equal fget. I'll try to get fget c, which, what does that do? Which help to get the individual character in the file. So the variable test file, which I declared earlier. So I'll go ahead and again use an if statement to cal_handle, and if that is exactly equal to end of file marker, end of file, if it has get it to the end of the file, then it's going to implement a break statement. So we're going to implement that break statement, and it's going to put char, which means it's going to print the car_handle. That means the individual character, and at the end of the day we close the file using the fclose function. So this time not file handle, we are closing the text file. All right, so let me just do a basic explanation here so that you have an hint of what is happening. Okay, so here we declared a constant character variable in line 5. I'll call it file name, which is, we equate it to the file we are trying to open. Okay, so then we declared this file is a data type. It's an integer data type, and we declared a variable using this data type called file because we are trying to read from a file. So using this, we call that variable test file. Then we declared another variable which is also an integer variable. This is a type of integer data type. Then we declared this, which we called car_handle, going to handle the individual character we are trying to print to, we are trying to read from the file. Then we do test file, we try to open the file here. So we are declaring variables here. Then here, what we want to do here, let me use we are opening the file, open file. So that these lines, we try to open the file. So, and if it opens the file in the read mode, so if test file is exactly none, peradventure this file doesn't exist, or we declared it here and we cannot access the file, there is going to print reading of file unsuccessful. I'll show you that in a second. Then it's going to return 1, which signifies that an error occurred in trying to read from the file. But if not, then we enter this while loop, y1, then we do car_handle, which is the variable we declared here, equals fget. We are trying to get the individual character from the file. Okay, we are trying to get the individual character from the file. So this statement read from the file. So this statement is reading from the file. Okay, so after that, after it does that, then if CodeBlocks encounter end of file marker, if it comes to read or each of the character, it gets to the end of the file marker, it's going to break, going to stop reading, and it's going to put char, it's going to print, it's going to put char the character, the car_handle, that's the file, the individual character it has read, and at the end of the day, it's going to go ahead and close the file. So here, let me just say after reading from the file, it's going to close file using the fclose function. So it closes the file using the fclose function and returns 0, which shows that reading from the file was successful. So that is what we have, guys. So at the end of the day, let me save this and build and run. Okay, it's fclose and okay, just a second. Let me see the logs. Okay, sorry, I didn't spell that correctly. Test file. Okay, so this is supposed to be test file, right? So I use text file throughout here. Any other? Yes, here text file. Okay, so I just want it to be text file. So let's save that, then build and run. Okay, another one. Yes, text file. All right, let's save again, then build and run. Okay, so guys, as you can see, it opened the file and it displayed it read the content. File processes that, which is actually a file that exists in this local computer. I have this file in my system, so it's reading from this file. I don't know if you understand that. So that is what is happening. So what if, I'm going to show you in a second where that file is. What if I cannot, probably I misspelled the file name. I don't have this character. Let's save and see what happens. So if I try to build and run, reading of file unsuccessful. Okay, so it shows that this file, I can't access it. It doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. So reading will be unsuccessful. So this line will be printed to the console. But if the file is there, let me save this again. If the file is there and you can access it, it's going to read the content of the file. So basically, that is what you have there. So that will read the content of that file. So we now go ahead to write to a file. Apart from reading, we can also write to a file. So which takes us here, and we go ahead. Go ahead and write to this file. So like I said earlier, writing to a file involves two things. Either you are writing to a new file or you are appending text to an existing file. So append simply means you want to add text. After you have a file, you want to append, you want to add maybe an extra text or a statement or a bunch of text to a file that already exists. So that's how to append. That's what we mean by appending text to an existing file. So we are going to go ahead and look at this practically in our code. So include stdio.h. Then we go ahead and what we do first, we do our main program, which is the entry point of the program. Then I'm going to add the curly braces. Then I'm going to use this file data type, which takes a pointer variable, and I'm going to call that variable handle underscore file. Then I'll go ahead and try to open and create the file. What I mean by that, it actually open the file if it exists, but if it doesn't exist, you go ahead and create the file. So I'll use the handle underscore file, which I declared, and I'll use the fopen function, which opens a file. Then I'm going to call the file output.txt, and what mode am I doing that? Is going to be in write mode. So what this does, what this line actually do is that we are using the fopen function, and this is the file we want to write into. If that file exists, fine, it's going to write the content we want to write into that file. If it doesn't exist, it go ahead to create this file, and this is the mode, which is we are doing that in write mode. So then I'll go ahead and add this bunch of if statement. If on the handle file, going to test that if it is exactly none, then I'll go ahead to print some statement using the puts function. What the put function does is that it prints string of characters. So that is what it does. It prints a string of characters. Puts, right? So if it is handle file is null, we are going to print this string of character to the console. Fail to create file. Okay, so I'm going to end that, and we will return 1, which shows that the operation was not successful. Then if that file actually exists, that is, if handle underscore file is not null, okay, then we can proceed with our operation. Then we want to use the fprintf function. In a moment I'll explain the difference between printf and fprintf function. So we want to use fprintf function, and we do handle underscore file. Then we want to write this file, content to the file. Hello, I'm learning file handling in C. All right, so I'm learning file handling in C. Let me put this little first of all. Then I'm going to do that in a new line. All right, so this statement is what we want to write into the file using the fprintf function. So Okay, let me first finish this. I'll explain. Then we use the fclose function, and then we access the file handle underscore file. Then at the end of the day, we don't need this. We return 0. So, like I said, what this fprintf function does is that it's a function used in writing into a file. Okay, why the printf function is used to print formatted output to the console. If I say formatted output, I mean output that have format specifier. And by format specifier, we could say format specifier. We could talk about the %C, which prints a character, %S, which prints a string. Then you have %D, which prints an integer, %LG, which prints a floating number in a compact format, etc. But the fprintf function is used in file handling to write a text, a string of text to into a file, right? Into a file. So this is what we have. So if this is called, let me go ahead and save this and build and run. Okay, something is wrong here. Let's try and fix it. Fprintf function. Okay, let's just look at the log and see what we are not doing right. Okay, I think, yeah, I didn't add my semicolon. So build and save, build and run. All right, so it has opened the file, but since we are opening a file, it's not going to open here. So we actually have to go back and check if that operation actually worked. So I'm going to come to the folder where I have this, and you see, okay, come to this folder file. So you see the file. All right, the file which we have been created here. So if I try to open it, you see what I wrote into the file is printed. Hello, I'm learning file handling in C. So basically that is what happened. So we have written a content into a file. So what we are going to do, we are going to modify this code, and we are going to write an alphabet. Before we wrote a string of text to a file. Now we are going to write an alphabet, the letters of the alphabet, to a file using a for loop to do that. All right. So before we begin, let's just look through the folder where we have all of this file. If you see this, the right folder, right folder where we have all this file, you don't have a file called alphabet. So we're going to go ahead and create that file, open it and write into it. Then I'll come back here and show you again how that file is being created. So let's go ahead, go back to CodeBlocks and do that. So here I'm going to modify this file, and what I'm going to do exactly, I'm going to declare another variable called int, an integer variable I. Then we go ahead to open the file. We open the handle underscore file using the fopen. Then this time we want to, what we want to do, we want to create a file called alphabet.txt, and we are writing into that file. So and write into it. Again, we use the if function. Then if handle underscore file is exactly none, then we are going to put this statement, then we return 1. Then where I want to really make that change is in the output. What we want to output. Let me use a comment here to show that this is where we want to output. We want to put the output. So what we want to output here, we want to, let me remove all of this. We just want to write letters of the alphabet using a for loop. So I'll do for. So we declared, we use our integer which we declared. If I is exactly equal to the character A, then a semicolon, then as long as our integer I is less than the character Z, then increment I, do I plus plus, I plus plus. So after that, we use the put function, fput rather, fput, since we are writing each individual character to a string, fput C. So you should know that there's a difference between the put C function and the fput. The put C writes a string of a single character to the standard output, which is the console, while the fput C function, fput C, writes a single character into a file. Okay, that's just the difference, the major difference between that. So we want to output this the variable which individual character, and at the end of the day want to write out the file underscore handle. Sorry, handle underscore file. So that, and we close the file using the fclose function. So basically, this is it, guys. So it's going to print that, and let's see how that works. So I believe you understood what we did here using the for loop. We use this I variable which we initialize and equate it to the character, the alphabet A, and as long as I is less than Z, which is the last alphabet in the last letter in the alphabet, we increment I plus plus. So it's going to loop through from A to the next character, B, C, D, as then is going to put all of this and write out each individual characters. So let's save this. Let's build and run. Okay, there's form of error here. Let's see what are we not getting right. Okay, this is supposed to be a semicolon. So let's save again. Save, build and run. All right, so yes, we are not writing to the standard output. So we are writing into a file. So this was successful. That is why I brought out this. So let's go ahead. I told you earlier, we are going to go back here to that folder where we have that. And as you can see, guys, we now have a file called alphabet, right? Which we created. And let's go ahead and check the content of that alphabet, which was not here earlier. So if I try and open it, you see A to Z is right, A to Y, because we did less than, is rightly printed to the screen, as you can see that. So that is that basically. Then so for the third one, we are going to look at how we can append a text to a file. We want to add an extra text to a file. So we're going to do that to this very file. So what we are going to do, I'm going to go ahead. I'll just remove this integer because I'm trying to append the text. So, and in this fopen function, I'm using the same alphabet as tst, but this time I want to append. I'm not writing, I'm appending it to the text. So I'll use a, which signify append. And if this is none, put car fail that fail to create file, return 1. And the output here, I'm just going to remove this, and what I want to do is I want to output. So the difference between, take note guys, there is difference between the fputs function and the fputc function. The fput is going to print, what is going to do, fput is going to write string of letters into a file, while the fputc is going to write individual character into a file, one character at a time, while the string is going to write a string of text into a file. So that is the difference. Please take note, and I'll do that. What I want to do is I want to write this text, the above letters. I want to append this text of the alphabet. Not creating a new file. Take note, I'm only appending a file. I'm only appending this text. I want to add it to the file which I already have. So I'm going to do undo underscore file, and that will be that. And after that, the file is closed, and we have this. So output, I want to append, I want to add this text to the same file which we opened earlier. We're not creating a new one. So I'm using this, the mode is append and not write this time. So I'll save this and I'll build and run. So it went successful. So let's go back and check our folder where we have that file. So this time, let's open that file. All right, so you can see that the above letters of the alphabet have been attached, have been added to this alphabet. You can see it has been added. All right, it has been added. So that is it, guys. And I believe you have been able to learn something. I believe you have been able to learn something. By the way, you can do you can put this in a new line so that there will be space in that place. So I believe you have learned something in C, handling files in C programming. So we'll be able to create file, we'll be able to read from a file, write into a file, as well as append text to a file. So before we go, there's this quiz which I created for you. This is it. C programming, what is the main difference between printf and fprintf function? So please drop the answer in the comment section. So look through, these are the it's a multiple choice, so you can look through A to D and drop the answer, the best answer. I've said all of this in this video, so watch the video carefully and leave the answer in the comment section of this video. You want to join our community of learners? I'll leave the link in the description where we learn and grow together. So been a good time having you around, and happy coding. I'll see you in the next video.